Hey guys, how you doing today? I'm back finally, and it is with the Spider-Man Brand New Day review. Now, this is a long time coming. I've been waiting for this film. As I said, I haven't been able to be as frequent on this channel. We're going to change that. We are going to change that, and I am sticking with it. I'm not disappearing. It is just hard with work and stuff like that. So my apologies guys, but this is a big video. This is the Spider-Man Brand New Day review. It's going to be a long one, so I'm going to try not to waffle. I don't want to make it too long for you guys. But big anticipated film, big film for Marvel. This is the last film heading into Doomsday. This is Tom Holland's film coming off the back of the massive cinematic event that was No Way Home, where we finally saw him become Spider-Man off the back of being, you know, Iron Man Jr., all the labels that were thrown at him. He's really become one, you know, the one that the city needs. He has now become the Spider-Man that we all know and love, from the Tobey films and from the Andrew films as well. He is now at that stage in his Spider-Man journey. Fans have been wanting this sort of story from him for a while now, so forgive me, I'm slightly ill if I sound a bit off. I am a bit ill, but we're getting there. It did not take away from my enjoyment from the film. Right off the bat, I will let you guys in on, you know, did I like it, did I hate it, whatever. I really, really enjoyed this film. This is a fantastic Spider-Man film, but it is flawed. We'll get there. We'll get to my rating, where it ranks for me within the MCU, and I will, spoilers, I will be doing MCU ranked video next. We're going to do a tier list. It's going to be very fun. We're going to go through everything right now, and I'm going to make it a thing to do every new entry into the MCU. We will do an updated ranking, because even you might say, well, that's a bit, that might be a lot, because, you know, it's just going to be you repeating the same rankings. Nah, it changes a lot. There's so many films. My one day I'll have one favorite, the next I'll have something over it, and yeah, that'll be fun. So that's coming. But let's get into this film, right? So an Ollie synopsis off the top of my head, because I can't be bothered to look it up. Spider-Man is off the back of everyone forgetting who he is. He's trying to live life. This is a massive time jump. This is multiple years. And he's been being Spider-Man solo himself for about 3 or 4 years now. And he's doing very well, although the work balance to life balance is not working out for him. He's becoming stressed, it's affecting his powers, and this eventually catches up with him, and we may see him evolve a bit in this film. Now, warning, I will be going into spoilers in this film, because you really can't, when reviewing this, how you would want to review it. So if you haven't seen the film yet, this will include a lot of spoilers, so go out and watch it. But yeah, let's just say there is a character in here with very overpowered powers. A character that is famous in the Marvel pantheon of heroes. And let's just say they're not exactly playing a hero in this film. And Spider-Man has to figure out how to overcome his own personal issues, as well as stop this person from doing any damage and preventing anyone from danger. So not the best explanation there, but it is an explanation. So right, let's get into this. We're going to go into, it's going to be sections here, chapters. We're going to go into the cast, then we're going to go into the plot, and then we're going to sort of mix them and go about from direction, cinematography, visuals, action, and even the score. We'll talk about that as well. So let's get into this review, and we're going to start off, I believe, from the top, which is cast. I have wrote notes. If you see me looking away, I'm just looking at my notes. So let's start off with the cast. Right, so if we're going to start off with cast, then there's no one else we should start off with than Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Now, he gets a lot of stick, right? I don't know why. I think it's quite trendy to hate on Tom Holland. His Spider-Man is really, really interesting to me. A lot of people hate his Spider-Man. From my experience, from watching reviews of people online, it's a lot of old heads. A lot of people that, to use a light term, they absolutely bum Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. they really think he's like the GOAT, the best thing since fucking sliced bread, mate. Like, they look at him as the GOAT of what Spider-Man is, whereas I don't. I think Tobey's fantastic in certain areas. Other areas, I believe Andrew's a lot better. My personal favourite to this day has always been Andrew, and now it's a little bit closer. Still would probably say Andrew. I think his Spider-Man specifically is incredible, and I'm a big fan of his Peter Parker as well. I just think Andrew Garfield brings such a charisma to that role, and he's just my favourite. I understand his films were not the best, but as the character, he's always been my perfect rendition of the character, right? But Tom Holland is really pushing himself up that list. Now, his journey to this point has been very interesting. People always talk about the Iron Man Jr. stuff as a negative. I strongly disagree. I think for this universe, it worked perfectly, and it actually made his journey to becoming Spider-Man much more interesting. And this is what I don't get, why people hated those films. Yes, Far From Home is not a good Spider-Man film. I agree with that. But Homecoming and No Way Home are fantastic. To see him learn to not rely on Iron Man and these other characters, to have to do stuff on his own, and he has to go through everything he's been through to this point to get there. No Way Home truly, as that film ended, it was one of the best endings to an MCU film, because it really did feel like we were done with the kid, the Spider Boy. We're done with that, and this film really needed to be, you know, Tom Holland taking on that role and becoming Spider-Man, and Tom Holland did that in this film. I thought he played it expertly. He knows what he's doing. You can tell he has passion for the character and for the fans, and I thought he was great in this film. So Tom Holland was a big takeaway, one of the biggest. He was fantastic in this film. As for Zendaya, she does the job here. I've never truly loved her in these films, I'll be honest. She plays her part. The romance felt very forced in Far From Home. Again, another aspect of that film that I didn't like. I'm really not a fan of Far From Home. That's not really down to her. It's her the writing is the issue there. But as for Zendaya, she does good here. I like how they handled her and Ned here. I really did. Speaking of Ned, Jacob Batalon as Ned, he's great here as well. Now, he's a very frustrating character. He can be a real crappy friend at points. I think that's the one true thing Homecoming gets wrong, and I love Homecoming. He's played off for laughs, but as an actual friend, if you analyse how he is in that film, he's a horrible friend to Peter. But he gets better every film he's in for me. And this film, he's not in it a lot, but when he is, he's really good. He's really good. His chemistry. So one thing I'll give the group, Zendaya, Tom, and Jacob, you can really tell that they're friends off screen, and it translates onto that big screen very well. The chemistry is fantastic, and there are scenes here that break your heart for Peter, involving Jacob and Zendaya's characters, and they both play it really well, really sell that emotion. Now, as for more side characters, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk was fine. He was good. They did ruin Hulk in Infinity War and Endgame, and then She-Hulk was just his funeral. Much like Thor, they're very comparable. The later MCU since Endgame has really fucked them. They are fucked characters, and Doomsday's clearly, you see in that trailer that they're trying to save Thor, bring him back to being a badass. But this film does well. It's the best Hulk we've had since Age of Ultron for sure. I did say that correctly, not Thor Ragnarok. That was the start of the end for him. I could have done with a little more. He was marketed heavily, right? He was in that second trailer as a massive part, and the action scene was not that long. And again, it's like, yeah, Spider-Man shouldn't be going up against the Hulk, but I was expecting a little bit more, just a little bit more. But as for Ruffalo, he played him well. Who's next? Then Scorpion, I forget the actor's name. Scorpion, small role, he does well in the role. I would also say I was expecting a little more, especially watching the trailers, but I'm kind of glad that they didn't delve too much into Scorpion, because this version of Tom Spider-Man dusts him easy. It's not even a debate. So if they played that out a bit longer, again, like Hulk, I wouldn't have believed it, I don't think. So I guess it was the right decision. Tremel Tillman as the head of damage control, again, very similar to his role in Severance, which I thought was quite funny, especially with a certain Jean Grey. We said we're going to go into spoilers. There was a scene about her powers that felt very Severance, so I can see how he got casted. He did fine. Florence Pugh's cameo was great. She's great as the character. The reports of having a naked scene where they both interact and they're naked was very weird to read about and hear about. I was like, how is that in this film? That makes no sense. It's such a random scene, but it's funny. They play it well. It's a funny scene. She's great. And Marissa Tomei's appearance as Aunt May especially, will end on that for this. Actually, we won't. There's one more character, but she was great as Aunt May. Underrated Aunt May. Again, old heads just crying because she's not 90 years of age, speaking on some Shakespeare wisdom shit. By the way, the Aunt May in Toby's films was not that wise, I'll be real. She said two sentences that are probably wise. The best Aunt May is from Andrew's films, by far. She's so good. But anyway, not to rage bait people. She's good here. She has a really good scene with Peter. Flashback. And now, saving the best for last, Jon Bernthald's Punisher, right? I was worried, and I believe I wrote it here. Well, as I said here, I loved him since Daredevil Season 2. I had to mention that. He has been a favourite of mine since Daredevil Season 2 back in 2016. 10 years ago was his introduction to Marvel as this character. And I'm so glad that I'm seeing him on screen with Spider-Man. I never thought we'd see that. There was a time, remember, where these were Netflix properties. Like, Marvel didn't even have the rights. Disney didn't have the rights. And to see him on screen with Spider-Man is just a fan's dream come true. I loved every part of it. And as I said here, the biggest worry for me was that the Spider-Man kiddie goofy tone that I was expecting would cap the serious nature that comes with Jon Bernthald's Punisher, because the last thing we saw of him, remember, was that special where he went absolutely nuts, killed half of a city. So I don't know how he's not in jail. I'm being real. He should be locked up, but don't question that. But he's a very damaged and broken character in nature. That is his character. And that can get very serious, very deep. I mean, we almost saw him commit suicide. Like, that's not something to joke about. And it just speaks to how deep his character is. So that was a big worry here, but they handle it perfectly. Dustin Daniel Cretton, the director, I think that's his name, something like that. I apologize if I got that wrong. Director of Shang-Chi meshed him and blended him perfectly here. Tom Holland and Jon Bernthal, if you didn't know, go way back. They each helped out each other audition for certain roles. I believe Jon Bernthal helped him out in his audition for Spider-Man. It was something like that. And they've just been in the Odyssey together as well. They have fantastic chemistry. A lot of these actors outside of this film have fantastic chemistry, and that shines here. Him and Spider-Man, I could see another film just of them two dealing with another threat. He's incredible here. And there's a scene at the end where, spoilers, Jon Bernthal accidentally shoots Spider-Man and almost kills him. And there's a scene in the hospital that is fantastic. They really do well with the Punisher here. So let's move on. That's the cast summarized. You may be thinking, oh, you've left out Sadie Sink. No, I didn't. That'll be in my negatives. So there you go. You already know where my negatives are going with this. But let's get on to the plot. The plot is all over the place, very, very messy, and I kind of thought this going in. This was a big worry because of those trailers, but fuck, I don't know how. It's somehow mostly, again, leaving Sadie Sink out of it, mostly blended well throughout the film. Most of it blended really, really well. The biggest worry I had was that this was the film we needed Tom's Spider-Man to take charge. We needed him in the forefront, and we needed a developed Spider-Man struggling on his own, doing his own thing. And the plot needed to focus on Peter finally on his own. That was the thing I desperately, and a lot of Spider-Man fans wanted and needed from this film. We've had the home trilogy. We've had him growing up as a kid. This is the film. If they didn't do it here, a lot of fans would have hated it, including me, and they would have dropped the ball. The trailers and leaks showed so much stuff in this film, and I've listed out everything that this film stuffed in there. You've got Peter's powers of evolving, Ned and MJ and the Hulk, the Punisher, Scorpion, damage control, even the Hand is in here. And on top of that, there's so many reports that Sadie Sink was Jean Grey going into the film. Everyone already knew that. I was really concerned that once again they overstuffed a Spider-Man film, which has become a recurring theme with Sony. I don't get how they don't learn their lesson. And to say they got lucky here is might be a bit harsh, and I'm not giving the credit they deserve. But fuck Sony. This is down to the direction. Dustin Daniel Cretton earned his role as director here and really put himself on the map, because this script is all over the place on paper, but as a film he made it work. That as I've just there's so many elements here that aren't needed, and somehow he really pulls it into this web. All jokes aside, it's really in this beautiful web, in this story, and everything works other than Sadie Sink for me. So the negative of the overstuffed nature of this film didn't stop Peter from shining. He really was at the forefront here, and it really did present him as New York's protector, which is something that Toby and Andrew had over him. You felt that the city loved him. And I didn't feel that with Tom Spider-Man yet, especially off the back of Far From Home and No Way Home, which made it a point to turn the city on Peter, to isolate him, and to have him go through a very traumatic event in No Way Home, where he basically lost everything in that film. So this film really felt like a love letter and payoff to the end of No Way Home, with the city really coming around him and supporting him. And I'm so grateful that this film left us with a happy earned, and that's the thing, it was earned. It left on a happy note for Peter, off the back of No Way Home. I thought that was really beautiful. Now, as I keep saying, Jean Grey is definitely the big negative of this film, but a positive I did take from Jean Grey's plotline doesn't surround her, but her decisions and her actions in this film, as bad as some of it was, it did give Spider-Man the opportunity, Tom Spider-Man, to persevere. It felt like he really proved himself in this film to her and to the city, and that's a telling of a good Spider-Man story. All the best Spider-Man films have him against all odds, coming through, pulling it off with pure heart and good nature. Spider-Man gets the job done, and I do think that is reflected in this film as well. It's just a shame that we'll get into Jean Grey, but it's a shame that it's off the back of a disappointing antagonist. Look, where this film ends, as I just said, I am truly excited and intrigued as to where they take Tom's Spider-Man next. Of course, I know he's going to have a role to play in Secret Wars. That is pretty obvious. Maybe Doomsday as well. I don't think so, but maybe they put him in there as well. Especially now thinking about it, that Yelena has that connection with Spider-Man. She'd bring him in, logically. Same way in Civil War, Falcon brought in Ant-Man. I think it actually doesn't make sense for him to not be in Doomsday off the back of that film, which is very interesting that he's not in there. But yeah, anyway, I'd also expect that at least one more solo movie, I'm guessing 2, to wrap up 2 trilogies with him as the character, because this film is going to make fuck ton of money. It already has. I believe it broke Endgame's record for the opening weekend, which is nuts to even say. Either way, this is making at least 1.5 billion in my eyes, at least. At the very least, I think this has the possibility to make 2 billion. So I don't think they're in a rush to get Tom Holland out of there just yet. Now, let's move on to that end credit scene quickly. I was told the end credit scene was very minor. I think that's incorrect. I think the end credit scene is very interesting. And it could be foreshadowing his role in Secret Wars, as it was off-planet. It showed the symbol. But my friend who I saw the film with also mentioned the possibility of maybe a Spider-Verse type character appearing into the MCU, maybe a Miles. And we know that Tom Holland spoke in many interviews about wanting to mentor and introduce Miles to the MCU. That's an honor that he'd love to have. So I have no doubt that Miles is coming. Do I think it's any time in the next couple years? No. Wouldn't surprise me, but I really don't, especially as we've still got Beyond the Spider-Verse to come out. But that is definitely down the line. So that's what I have to say for that. Now let's get on to the visuals and action and cinematography, direction, all of that stuff. Let's get into that. Firstly, quick shout out to costume design because they were on point. This was the biggest suit upgrade that Tom's had. He's had a lot of stinkers, a lot of them. Even his best suit, which I'd go to either Homecoming or Far From Home, I thought the black was a sleek look. But they've been CGI suits. That is unforgivable for Spider-Man. There's no justified reason to not have a practical Spider-Man suit. It just looks better. It really does. And here it really shines. It's the most comic accurate one, even more comic accurate I'd say than the TASM 2 suit, although I do prefer the Amazing Spider-Man 2's Andrew Garfield's suit. It's the best suit we're ever going to get for Spider-Man. I truly believe that is perfect. But yeah, nonetheless, fantastic Spider-Man suit. Then you've got stuff like the hand, very vibrant. Punisher's suit, you can't really mess up, but everything. Scorpion looked fine. I thought the suit, costumes and that were really good, especially Tom Spider-Man. Now visually, cinematography wise, it is easily the best Tom Holland Spider-Man looking film, which isn't a hard task, to be honest. I am slightly disappointed with the way the swinging was though. They really made a big deal about the practicality of the swinging, and I've seen the behind the scenes photos of him practically swinging, and even Tom Holland got injured, I believe, doing that. So they went through a lot of, effort to do practical swinging. That shows a lot of passion for the character and the way it looks. And a few shots were pretty good, but a lot of them weren't. A lot of them felt very CGI, which is very ironic considering the fact that the marketing made such a big deal about the film's decision to have practical swinging. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. I still think, again, Andrew Garfield's TASM 2 had the best swinging by far, which is so frustrating. Guys, that came out in 2014. Go and watch clips of his swinging in that film. It shits on how this film's swinging looks visually. It looks so real, so non-CGI. And it just looks so clean. I don't get how in 2026 we can't do that. Again, there's no excuse for that. You have it. It's Sony. You did it. Surely go back and look at how you did it and apply that to Tom's. I really don't get it, guys. Moving on to action, it was good, although again, slightly disappointed considering what I've seen from Dustin Daniel Cretton do with Shang-Chi. Now, Shang-Chi has some of the best action in the MCU. And this film, going into it knowing he was directing, I was ready for the action scenes to blow me away. I've seen some reviews for this film where people are saying it's like Insomniac's Spider-Man game, the action, the moves he's pulling off. And yeah, some of it's cool, but there's nowhere near as much or as incredibly choreographed action as either the Insomniac games or Shang-Chi. And that's not to say the action was bad. I thought it was still very good. I was just expecting a bit more. Again, quite ironic, as that's what the director, a massive positive I took from Shang-Chi was the action set pieces. They were fantastic. I wish we had more involving the Hulk when it came to the action. I've already mentioned that. The marketing focused a lot around that Hulk fight, and it lasted 2-3 minutes, if that. I think Toby, to compare, had the best action of any Spider-Man for sure. His action scenes were incredible. Now Punisher didn't have many action scenes. I thought, again, fighting the Hulk, you can't do that because it makes no sense. I think how that was handled was good, but I could have done with a Punisher versus the Hand scene. That would have been fucking incredible. I think that's a real missed opportunity. The Punisher and Spider-Man taking on the Hand in that prison would have been fucking cool, and he would have handled a lot of them. He would have struggled with a bit more than Spider-Man, but I think he would have handled a lot there. Now, the overall directing, I've mentioned him plenty throughout this, but he did a really, really good job here. He pulled together some of the most visually stunning shots we've had in the MCU as a whole. There's a shot at the end where he's overlooking New York, and it's beautiful. Really, really good stuff. I appreciate Daniel's scope and ambition to honor the comics with those comic book panel shots in that montage of him taking on the sort of D-list villains. You got Tombstone, Boomerang, a lot of shitters, to be honest, but the visual style was what impressed me there. I thought that was really, really cool, and shows that he has a care and, you know, passion for the lore and for Marvel. And the homage to those Spider-Man covers, I thought was a nice touch, as well as just the use of colour and scope when displaying the city of New York in general. I thought he did a really good job at making that city feel alive. Now, moving on to the score, I thought the score was fine. Again, I was hoping for a bit more for a Spider-Man film. I want Tom is the one thing he's truly lacking. It's a fantastic Spider-Man theme. It's just, if you count the Homecoming one, it's literally just the Spider-Man theme redone, which is fine. But TASM 1 has a fantastic underrated Spider-Man theme, and TASM 2 has a great one. You know, the do when he's falling through the fucking sky at the start. It's brilliant. And that's not mentioning Tobey's, who is fantastic. His score, I don't need to tell you how good his Spider-Man score was. But again, wasn't horrible, but could have been better. Right, we're wrapping up with the negatives now. We're finally here. Said a lot of good things, but upon reflection, I truly did love this film. But the big gap from this film being truly one of the MCU's best is Jean Grey. I'm sorry, guys, it just didn't work for me. For a character who's been reported and theorized and discussed so much leading into this film, there was no one that didn't know that she was playing Jean Grey. It was really bigged up and theorized and anticipated going into this film. I was really interested to see what role she'd have to play in this Spider-Man story, as it seems such a weird choice, and that was a big worry for some people. We know that a new X-Men film is being developed at Marvel at the moment for post-Secret Wars, which is basically going to be the soft reboot of the MCU, with the X-Men kind of taking over the Avengers role as the main group moving forward, giving the Avengers sort of a break, because we have done a lot of Avengers, and I can see why the MCU is doing that. I have no shade on them for doing that. I think they could do a really good job. Therefore, Sadie Sink's casting here is actually a massive deal. This is one of the first, I believe this is one of the first new X-Men appearing in the MCU and showing where the MCU is heading in the future. This meant her role in the film disappointed me even more, to be honest. Her introduction to the MCU felt very forced here, I've got to be real, guys. Especially making her the antagonist. I think that was a dumb decision. It doesn't work, because anyone with at least 3 brain cells knows she's not going to be a villain. She's not a villain. So it was so obvious that Damage Control had fucked her over. We knew this. This was so easy to predict. So as well as Marvel making the X-Men film, which some people might not have known, there's no stakes here. I didn't feel at any point like she was truly going to do anything. An even bigger issue for me was that she has no relation to Peter. He developed so much in this film as Spider-Man that he deserved a Spider-Man villain, a villain in his catalogue, maybe that we haven't seen him fight yet. An actual relationship and connection that Peter had to a villain could have really made this a true MCU classic. I really believe that. And looking back at it right now, if that fucking shitty Sony-verse spin-off universe happened with Venom and all that, if Venom hadn't been touched since Spider-Man 3, I really think that a Venom antagonist could have worked here. I really do. This would have been the film. An all-time low Peter, where MJ moves on, and I think this would have been the time to pull the Venom trigger. I really do believe that, and yeah, I don't blame them for not doing that off the back. It would have been very confusing, as they at one point, let's not forget, were planning on merging that shitty Tom Hardy Venom into this Spider-Man's films. They did multiple post-credit scenes trying to force that fucker in. I don't care what anyone says. Everyone loved that first Venom film, or liked it. It was shit. And they got even worse from there. So that isn't the MCU's fault, that's Sony's fault, as usual. But yeah, this film really was missing an MCU Spider-Man villain. And that really would have helped it become one of my could have been top 5, could have been top 3. It was that good. Other than that, I think that the team that worked on this film realised exactly what I just said, to be honest, which resulted in one of the laziest and most boring cliche origins for Jean I've ever seen. I really do think that. The ambition to make Peter relate to her felt so forced. They throw this flashback in, giving Jean a sister who was taken and killed by damage control. Felt like something you'd seen 1,000 times. Jean's journey to find her sister eventually ends in her realising shock she's dead. It just felt so... what's the word? It felt lazy's the best word. It really did feel lazy. Cheap ass writing. I don't buy that for a second, to be honest. I think Sadie Sink might have been miscast as well, which is a shocker, because I had no doubt Sadie Sink. I've seen her perform very well in Stranger Things, but it was a disappointing performance. I guess what she had to work with wasn't great. Maybe I need to give her one more chance, but it felt dry. Those emotional scenes, especially that final scene where she goes into Peter's mind and interacts firsthand with Aunt May as she gives that advice, which is beautiful advice from Aunt May. Her lines were written a bit weirdly as well, but the message was great. But it really, you could tell they were fucking shoehorning it to fit with Jean Grey and her situation, and it didn't feel organic to me. It really didn't. I didn't connect with that. Yeah, she didn't perform with believable emotion for me. That's just me. So it is very frustrating as a whole, like summarizing this film, as it's such a large part of the film. And if this antagonist problem, Jean Grey, was removed and was fixed with something else, maybe a Venom, maybe something else, I really could see this film having the potential to be like a 9 or 10 out of 10. I really think it could have been that. I think one of my biggest worries was the handling of MJ and Ned, and I think we needed to move past that, and I think this film made the right decision, which I'm shocked by. I really thought she was going to remember and he was going to have his happy ending with his wife. But no, they put the character first, and I think this is where Spider-Man needed to go. I think this could have rivaled the best of the MCU, I really do. So it's going to be hard to rank this. It's still very, very high for me, very high. The Spider-Man development and everything else mentioned is so incredibly good that it's still in my top 10, maybe even pushing high, around that 5 range for the MCU for sure. So I'm giving Spider-Man a final grade of an 8 out of 10. It could have been 9, could have been 10, but as I just said, that Jean Grey is a big issue for me, really big issue. I'm going to go and give it a rewatch, see if I feel the same, but as of now, that is my rating. Can't wait for Doomsday, guys. Marvel's officially back, and if you're not on yet, if you're not willing to come back yet, it's fine. We'll wait for you. If you need Doomsday to truly get you back, then we'll wait till Doomsday. But you'll see. You guys will see. We'll be back with Doomsday and then Secret Wars. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. More videos coming. MCU ranking coming. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.